Hello and a warm welcome to Joy News today. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. It's your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 144, and around the globe at myjoyonline.com. Coming up this afternoon, members of GUTA to stage protest against the fast depreciating city. They say the free fall of the city has eroded all gains made post the COVID-19 pandemic and the recent shocks from the Russian-Ukrainian war. We have details as the association is asking government to prioritize the trading community to get access to foreign currency. Now, we will not allow any implantation of terrorists is in Ghana. That's the assurance from the President Akufo-Addo as he rounds up day one of his tour of the Upper West region.
We are going to prevent any implantation of terrorist activity. You cannot do it by yourself. We need the cooperation of the civilian population.
And Doctor of Pharmacy House officers say non-payment of their 7-month allowance is affecting their mental capacity to enable them work efficiently and effectively. How so? We'll hear from them.
The right thing to do. A health professional should not come to the hospital providing quality service for patients to receive health and quality care when they themselves are starving. When starvation is one of the factors that will deteriorate the mental health of a person. And so if we are going through this situation, how do you expect me to come with a clean mindset and provide a quality health?
We also have business, sports, and world of news plus showbiz coming up in this bulletin. Stay tuned for details. Now, this afternoon, the Ghana Union of Traders Association is escalating demand for an urgent government response to the fast depreciating city. Members of the union will on Monday keep their shops closed to protest the free fall of the city, which they say has eroded gains made post the COVID-19 pandemic and the shock from the Russian-Ukrainian war. They say they're asking government to prioritize the trading community to get access to foreign currency to undertake their businesses. Here is President of GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obeng, who spoke at a news conference in Accra.
The resources, and we believe with the resources given to government, they can turn the economy around. We as members of the business community are ever ready to avail ourselves to help the government in its quest to find solutions to these myriads of problems. We do not subscribe to the notion that the situation has gotten out of hand. We should not, therefore, throw our hands in despair and put the economy in autopilot. We can definitely do something, given the human resources in the country. Let us assemble all major stakeholders and brainstorm for pragmatic solutions.
So, particularly, they've been asking government to regulate of a sort of who gets access to the dollar. Especially, they are asking government to prioritize individuals who are into trading, especially members of GUTA, to get access to the dollar. And again, they're also asking the Bank of Ghana to also check the activities of illegal markets, what they call here the black market here. Because some of them and their activities will also be negatively affecting the demand on the dollar. They are also asking government pertaining to arresting the Ghanaian cities against the dollar to also check the Importers Association. They say that locally, the local people involved in the import industry expect fewer, they put at 50% compared to 85% of foreigners. So they are also asking government and the Bank of Ghana to also check in that. So they hope that some of these measures, if looked at critically, will help them to, and government as a whole, to check the falling city.
Now, there were other associations present at this news conference. What have they also been saying?
So we've heard from the Car Dealers Association who are asking government to take a second look at some of the taxes that is put on the importation of vehicles, second-hand vehicles. They are asking government to especially look at the taxes, the 35% that they have to pay on vehicles that use vehicles between the years of 1 to 5 years. To take a second look at it, as that probably may be hampering the business that they do. Again, we've heard from the Freight Forwarders Association, who have also sent solidarity message to stand by GUTA to also close down their shops. They are also asking government to check the city. It appears that every single entity within the Ghana Union of Traders Association is very concerned about the free form of the city.
All right, Michael Papani actually is a reporter who covered the GUTA. The details of that and more will be on our subsequent bulletins. But now, President Akufo-Addo has called for cooperation between security forces and civilians to help ward off any activity of terrorists and the element in Ghana. Speaking in a meeting with regional service commanders and top-ranked officers of the security services in the region, as part of his 3-day tour of the Upper West region, he assured that as a country, Ghana will not tolerate any terrorist implantation. Join us as Upper West regional correspondent Traffic Salam report on day 1 of his visit to the region.
Though the arrival time for President Akufo-Addo to the Upper West region was shifted 4 hours back, it didn't deter or prevent faithful of the new Patriotic Party, MPP, from giving him a rousing welcome. Regional and constituency executives and supporters of the MPP, by 12 midday, had crowded in front of the arrival hall of the Wa Airport, hoping to have a glimpse of the president. They have lots of expectation from this visit of the president.
There are a lot of activities that are going on. There are a lot of development projects that are already on hand, and we think that the president should come and see what he has put in here for us, so that we can even encourage him to do more for the party in the region.
There are a lot of ongoing projects where there's ground for him to commission, he commissions. The Agenda 111 projects are things that he wants to be completed before he leaves office, and therefore it's important for him to go around and say, even meeting the people and dealing with them is a very essential part of governance, because he wants to be near the people and listen to them. Although you hear of the dire, picture painted everywhere, this is not the attitude of the people who have given up on the government, who are giving up on the president. They will not be here. And those are the things that he wants to come and feel on the ground and let the people know that he's concerned about happenings, and he's going to lead us out of those happenings with our support, inshallah.
The president has done a lot in this region, from giving employment, infrastructure, and so on and so forth. We are here to make sure that the president comes here, feel at home. This is going to be his next home. He will live here knowing that the people of Upper West are really in love with him and they are welcoming him.
Between now and December, a lot of changes will come. So this is what I expect the president to tell the people. He should give us hope. Let us understand. Even the dollar, now that's the biggest challenge. But I trust that it's just a matter of time. We'll stabilize the system. So all I want him to tell us to continue to give us hope whilst we work underground to ensure that we fix the economy.
He finally touched down some few minutes after 1 p.m. and quickly rolled out of the airport and straight to the new residency, which houses the presidential lodge.
So that was a wrap of day 1 of the president's 3-day tour of the Upper West region. Let's now focus on his warning to terrorist element and their potential activities in Ghana. The president says he will not allow any implantation of terrorists in Ghana. Very assuring as it may sound, we ask, have we as a country gotten all our security measures right in counteracting any such threat? If so, how good or bad are we looking, and should we go to bed now? Joining us live with some thought on the president's assurance is the executive director of the West Africa Center for Counter-terrorism, Mumuni Mukhtar, for more. Thank you so much for joining us here on our news. Does the president's words give you any respite in the wake of threat of terrorism, particularly in neighboring countries, as a Sabridging?
Well, thank you for this. I think the threat of terrorism is a very, very complex threat. And how we respond to issues or how we project in terms of communication around it, it's very, very important. no leader wants to appear weak in the face of threats. And so it's in line with this that you would often see statements like that. But terrorism defies all these kinds of optics. And importantly, what you need to do on the ground, what kinds of measures have we put in place in terms of preventing terrorism from external sources as well as from our own internal vulnerabilities. Of course, in the last few years, we have seen government's own initiatives around it. We see in things relating to joint border patrols and international cooperation with some of the neighboring countries and programs we call Operation Kondanglu, Operation Conquered Fist, Operation Eagle Claw, and several of these initiatives. And that is key because it helps to enhance the joint border patrols that we see in those areas close to the center of the violence. But what we want to see is a more involved role of the local community and civil society. And so beyond the declarations of Ghana would not allow this space to be attacked by terrorists, we need to go beyond the show of combat measures, the show of force, to involve a more, significant role of the local population and civil society. Because the threats that we see, the battle against it, would not be won with hardcore security, would not be won on the battlefield. It will be won in dealing, by dealing with the drivers of radicalization and violent extremism within our local communities and helping build resilience against the threat.
In spite of that, how good or bad is our security preparedness looking as far as terrorism is concerned?
No nation is adequately prepared to successfully deal with terrorism. And so your best level of preparedness will be determined by your response to threat and by your response to incidents. Luckily, we haven't had any incidents yet. And so it's a challenge to try to assess how prepared are we. We are looking at, the threat from both internal and external sources. And if you look at security from external sources, you would want to focus on borders and immigration as a credible source of the threat. And so that's why we are emphasizing on how we ensure seamless interagency cooperation and intelligence sharing with our neighboring countries and agencies in those countries that are currently experiencing the threat. We've seen several initiatives, but challenges remain in terms of the cooperation of countries and in terms of confidence and trust among intelligence agencies from the various countries. If you speak to people within these spaces, you would see that there isn't enough, adequate sense of trust and goodwill amongst them to be able to ensure seamless sharing of information and collaboration in dealing with the threat as the way it should be dealt with. If we look at it from internal sources, we are talking about pervasive incidences of vulnerabilities, structural vulnerabilities that we haven't been able to deal with. We have huge cases of, violent chieftaincy and ethnic conflict, huge situation of youth unemployment in places that traditionally we consider as ungoverned spaces, places that provide opportunity for extremist groups to exploit. Those still exist in our space. We're seeing incidences of marginalization along ethnic lines in many parts of this country. We're seeing the issue of, even vigilante violence that appear to be quiet at the moment is still a present danger in our space. And so these vulnerabilities exist in this space, and we haven't seen any significant measures in terms of dealing with this and building resilience against terrorism from internal sources. Okay. Of course, an important feature I want to talk about is a national framework for preventing and countering violent extremism from the Ministry of National Security within the Counter-terrorism unit, which is a great document. But what we haven't seen is national action plans to operationalize the framework. Where are the action plans? We've been asking for the action plans, and the action plans are key because it involves the role of civil society and the local population, which is important to ensure that the whole of society approach, it is meaningful when we're dealing with terrorism in this space.
Now, as a people, how much information should we get access to, such that it would not jeopardize our effort to fight terrorism and would also give us the assurance, the needed assurance that indeed we are protected?
Our security agencies have experts within those spaces, within the various counter-terrorism units. We have the counter-terrorism unit at the national security, and they are meant to give information to the public only on a need-to-know basis, based on their assessment of the threat and the public preparedness and ability to deal with it. And so you give us information on a need-to-know basis, and it is judged by your own sense of proportion as to what level of information is healthy for the public to know. Importantly, when people know, what should we do? What are the set of actions or measures or opportunities that are available to the local population to participate? Even reporting is an important duty and important activity in terms of countering and preventing terrorism. We have seen the outdooring of see something, say something. But in terms of, the impact, we are yet to assess what it has been on the ground in terms of roping in the role of the local population.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Mukhtar Momoni Mukhtar is the Executive Director for WASID. Now, Education Minister Dr. Yao Osei-Duchim has indicated that his ministry will not put up with any type of conflict that damages the property of different universities. His claim comes in the wake of recent violent confrontations between rival residence halls at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology and the University of Ghana, Legon. He claims that students need to be aware that such instances damage colleges' reputations and have serious repercussions. He is urging students to file complaints through proper channels for redress. He spoke while paying a visit to the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ghana.
We've all been reminded that now this is a global village. What takes place at University of Ghana doesn't stay at University of Ghana. It travels the world. And somebody may make a decision as to whether a student from here will get a scholarship or not, depending upon what they heard in the news. So I want to admonish my younger brothers and nephews and nieces to understand that whatever they do here may directly affect them without even them knowing. If there's any issue, we expect them to use the processes that are here through the SRC, through the university. There's a very open vice-chancellor who will dialogue with you if you have real and genuine issues. We want them to use those opportunities to resolve any differences, understanding that what you do at University of Ghana doesn't stay at University of Ghana. And destroying property is something that the university will not countenance. And I, as the minister, will not countenance that.
Meanwhile, he says the campus has returned to normal as all stakeholders promise to work together to prevent a repeat of the incident.
The support of the security agencies in the country, led by the IGP, there's peace on campus. The Vice-Chancellor has done everything possible to ensure there's peace and tranquility. What I have been briefed about indicates that they are on top of what we expect them to do. And the SRC, GRASAC, was also in the meeting. They've also indicated to their willingness and the cooperation that they've extended to the university. And they want to make sure this premier university enjoys stability.
Moving on to other stories, the Agbegbe Mafia of the Asogli State, Togbe Afede, the 15th, has identified greed-inspired corruption as a major challenge to Ghana's development. He indicated that the country loses so much money, which could have been channeled towards the development of the state. Speaking at the maiden edition of the Asogli Anti-Corruption Day celebration in Ho, Togbe Afede expressed optimism that corruption would be eradicated if the citizenry make conscious effort to weed out corrupt officers.
According to the Auditor General's report, Ghana lost 17.8 billion Ghana cedis to corruption in 2021. Given this and the rising cases of corruption, the Asogli State decided to lead a campaign to fight corruption and save the public purse. The Anti-Corruption Day celebration was therefore instituted to educate citizens to frown on corrupt activities and act as whistleblowers. The campaign, which is under the auspices of the Agbegbe Mafia of the Asogli State, Togbe Apede the 14th would henceforth be part of the annual Asogletezan, that is the Yam Festival. Togbe Apede identified corruption as an impediment to the development of Ghana.
Now, I've reflected further on all of this as somebody who has done some economics and who has been in business for some time. Looking at all the factors militating against our development. And I came to a conclusion that the most important of all of this is corruption. Greed inspired or greed-fueled corruption. Corrupt officials are termites at the woodwork, eating at the very foundations of our progress. So that is what we have to deal with. And that is why we have found it very, very important to make corruption the subject matter for today, consistent with the theme of our Yam Festival or TESA this year. Let's eschew greed and unite for the development of our country.
He also lamented the economic hardship being experienced in the country.
So our people are suffering very low standards of living that they don't have to. God has given us so much. We see where inflation is now, galloping. And we see what has happened to the city. If we hadn't done the city rejuvenation of 2007, we would have been exchanging 100,000 cities now for the US dollar. That is how far our currency has lost value, which means that we've not been very good at managing our own affairs. We haven't met the expectations of our founding fathers.
6 anti-corruption crusaders were billed to share opinions on the state of corruption in Ghana and possible solutions to lessening its practice. An investigative journalist, Manasseh Azuri Awuni, outlined how government officials teamed up to rob the state and indicated that corruption is the major cause of Ghana's economic crisis.
If we are to progress as a people, we should begin to now take responsibility of ourselves and stop blaming the white man. That as a people, we see nothing wrong when we look at our economic crisis. Corruption is the #1 cause of the crisis. Those telling us the war in Ukraine and COVID-19, it is not true. It is corruption. COVID-19 was just an opportunity for the politicians to steal money.
A chief crusader of the Crusaders Against Corruption, Emmanuel Wilson Jr., said the 3 arms of government and public institutions have indented with corruption. He therefore advocated for the revision of the 1992 Constitution, which allocated so much power to the executive, to one that would promote development.
What we need now is what we call developmental constitution. Developmental constitution transits the focus from political stability to development. And that is why I have said in this 4th Republic, and anytime I see it, I get people fighting me, but that is the fact. In this 4th Republic, as far as I am concerned, the best president we've had is the late Professor Atta Mills. Just on one main thing, the fact that he wanted to change the 1992 Constitution. You need someone who is spiritually upright to be that bold and say that even though the powers belong to me, that is not the right way for the society, and so I want to give the powers back to the people.
The citizenry and the media were encouraged to desist from engaging in corruption and expose persons who engage in it to nip the canker in the bud. This would help the country save billions of Ghana cedis, which would be used to finance development projects. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News.
Now, experts in the fisheries sector are warning that soon Ghanaians may not be able to get the type of fish we want, or even in the right quantities, if nothing is done to stop the overexploitation of our fish stock. This is because the population of several vital fish species in Ghana's waters is fast depleting. The worsening ecological and humanitarian crisis across Ghana's coastline are inextricably linked to the presence of poorly regulated foreign industrial trawlers. Why is this the case and what is the way out? The programs manager for Friends of the Nation, Kojo, has been sharing some insight with Joy News. He spoke to us earlier on News Desk.
The reason why we have supported closed season is to ensure that the depletion of the fish stock, especially the small pelagics, are dealt with. So both trawler and canoe fishermen are engaged in this closed season. The reason also being that a lot of the trawl harvest, even though they are supposed to target demersal fishes, when we assess the landings, that means the fish they have caught, we see high volumes of the pelagic fishes. These fish, that is the bloodline, and we call it purpose fish for the coastal communities. We see that most of these landings have some of these fish. However, you could also see that some of them are specifically targeting this fish and actually reporting them as bycatch. Bycatch means that what you are targeting, others come in. However, when you assess the volume of fish landed, you will see that the small pelagics are higher volumes. So the issue is that these fish are rather being targeted by the trawl and being sold back to fishers in a way. For instance, there was the use of widespread illegal transshipment called psycho, and the government have put in measures to address it. However, the fishes that are landed, that are now going through the proper process, still have high volumes of juvenile fishes and small pelagic fishes. In that regard, we have not really addressed the challenge of trawl on the purpose fish. We have not really addressed the effect, the negative effect of trawl on the fish, purpose fish. And that is why some of us are of the opinion that we would need to reduce capacity and effort of the trawl sector. In fact, the Fisheries Management Plan 2022 to 2026 has indicated that along all the sectors, trawl sector, artisanal sectors, and others, the capacities are higher and above the sustainable allowable capacity, and they must be brought down.
Now, some 2021 Doctor of Pharmacy House officers say they are mentally unstable to provide medical services to patients due to the government's failure to pay their 7-month allowances. The officers, who are yet to be cleared by the Health Ministry and also to receive permanent appointment letters, say they are reeling from the current economic situation, forcing a number of them to leave post. Love FM's Emmanuel Bright Kweku spoke with some house officers and has filed this report.
The joy of exiting the four walls of a university campus to finally find yourself in work with a good salary is the hope of any graduate. But to land a job and not be paid for several months is a teary endeavor. It's been 7 months now, and Dr. Benito Fori, like many of the 2021 batch of doctors of pharmacy, are yet to have a taste of their first allowance for their housemanship started at the beginning of the year.
We've been in the hospital from January 24th. That was the date we reported. And we've worked our heart out. We've worked diligently. We've worked effortlessly in the hospitals, providing quality pharmaceutical service. And to date, still nothing has been done.
As mandated by law, these graduates are required to complete a 12-month training before being accepted into the permanent register of pharmacists in Ghana. Promised of receiving their monthly stipends, these pharmacy graduates are in anticipation for their clearance and appointment letters, the only assurance for them to receive their monies.
Our clearance has not been given, our appointment letters has not been given, and we haven't had any documents even demonstrating or showing that in due time we will get these documents. So that is our major concern, that we need to receive the appointment letters, we need the clearance, and we have to even proceed with our biometrics so that we can get our salaries.
The present economic hardship has rendered many of them financially constrained, with less support from their guardians.
My father and my mother used to support me, but then the support I used to get previously is not the same. At first, I'm on air, but I will say it. My parents would prepare food from Kojo. I'm from Kojo. So they will prepare food from Kojo and send it to STC station. I'll go to the station and pick the food and send it home because there is nothing on me that I have to use to prepare food, even to eat. And not just that, they will send me money to keep on myself as transportation money. And I'll use that money to come to the hospital and provide the services that we are providing to the patient. patient. My father doesn't even believe me. How can you let your ward work in the hospital from January to August, and your ward comes to tell you that salary has not been paid? When I call him, he doesn't even pick my call.
The overwhelming workload, coupled with the debt to settle, is gradually waning their love for the job. Dr. Pitesha Sapon says their mental health is now compromised.
I can't just go to work and be thinking of all the debts I have to pay. Because at the end of the month, once I get money elsewhere, I'm paying debts that I have acquired for the month, okay? And so it's like I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul. It even has so many effects on our mental health. You see us, you literally see our mates and you see that we are stressed out. It has serious consequences on our job as well.
So what are they doing in the interim to survive? Dr. Seribidiakon explains.
In this situation, they cannot overburden us because we are also picking a lot of part-time. Most of us even spent a lot of months looking for part-time or locum pharmacies to do, because that's where that money or that salary that they pay us, that's what we use to buy food. That's the same money that we use to pick transport to our hospitals, our respective hospitals to work.
This situation is a regular hassle pharmacy doctors have had to endure over the years. The current batch of officers are calling for an immediate end.
Senior colleagues who completed had a stipulated amount of money which were given to them. And even with them, they received theirs later as at sometime around the sixth month, when after they had begun doing their house service. And I personally, I'm one of the people who hold this opinion that it is not even the right thing to do. A health professional should not come to the hospital providing quality service for patients to receive health and quality care when they themselves are starving. When starvation is one of the factors that will deteriorate the mental health of a person. And so if we are going through this situation, how do you expect me to come with a clean mindset and provide a quality health? No, never. It can never happen.
Until the government settles their outstanding debts, support in medical care delivery by these pharmacists may be on the line. For Joy News, Emmanuel Bright-Kweku reporting.
Now, this is still the Joy News today. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we have latest from the world of business for you. Stay with us.
Hello, good afternoon. It's time to do business with me, Beverly Broom. Now, the Ghana Railway Workers Union has thrown its support behind the move by the Ghana Railway Company Limited to sign a $3.2 billion loan agreement with South African firm Thelo DB to revamp the company. Speaking at a press conference, the General Secretary of the Ghana Railway Workers Union, Godwin Ntama, said that the loan agreement would be one of the best contracts that would help push the company forward if it's signed. Ghana's Western Rail Line, which spans 339 kilometers from Takoradi Port to Kumasi, is expected to receive a major infrastructure facelift as government, through the Ghana Railway Company Limited, finalized moves on a $3.2 billion contract to be undertaken by Thelo DB Consortium. The Western Rail Line, owing to some infrastructure deficits, is currently operating only 66 kilometers. Even as the move is yet to be finalized, the Ghana Railway Authority Board, as part of engagement, has met with the Ghana Railway Workers Union and other major stakeholders to seek their inputs and brief them on the details contract. Speaking to the media at the end of the engagement, the General Secretary of the Railway Workers Union, Godwin Ntama, lauded the move, indicating it will bring the needed developments to the railway sector.
We engaged the board today. It was a nice presentation, but let's be honest with you. We have asked the questions that we feel that the rough edges should be smoothened so that we can all have a perfect arrangement for the railway sector going forward. Let me say that if this agreement should go through, it will be one of the best agreements that will help push the railway company forward, because as we say normally in our interactions, a company, we are in a distressed manner, and so if a huge sum of money like this is going to be invested into the railway sector to make sure we have a perfect line, we have the locomotives to run, we have the trucks and everything, training of workers and that sort of thing. It's a good thing and we support it wholly.
Godwin Intama has urged the Attorney General and the Ministry of Finance, who are analyzing the draft contract, to be diligent and to ensure everything is in order, and by so doing, they will also continue to support it.
We only urge the Attorney General, the Ministry of Finance, who are looking through the draft contract, to make sure everything is in order, and that we will continue to support it to make sure it comes into fruition. We know some time back there was an agreement between Ghana government and GUTA company about construction of Huni Valley to Dunkwa. This is also on the same stretch of line. And so if we're going to have another contract which is saying that Takrady to Awaso, we are confused. We don't know the state of that GUTA contract. And so those are the things we've raised. If those things are fashionable well, we think it will be a positive. Well, we didn't want a situation where we'll start a contract and tomorrow there will be court issues and that's what will delay the process. And so those are some of the things we're talking about.
For Joy Business in Athalia, Kwanza, Western Region.
Now, the Ghana Investment Fund for Electronic Communications has concluded a land acquisition process to be used for the expansion of its rural telephony and digital inclusion project. This aimed at expanding data and voice services to parts of the eastern region where network connectivity has become a challenge. Chief Executive Prince Sefa spoke to journalists after inspecting some of the project sites at Kwewu South District.
GIFEC, since its establishment in 2004, has provided innovative solutions to ensure universal access and digital inclusion in the remotest parts of the country. These are relatively small communities with low economic viability, hence the inability of mobile network operators to extend their services. The inspection at Kwewu South and East involved community engagement and the acquisition of a suitable land for the construction of a project site, following a drive test to confirm viability of the communities. Here is Chief Executive of GIFEC, Prince Sefa.
And we're leaving no stone unturned to make sure that we use whatever creativity, hard work, and what have you to make sure that we meet this expanded mandate. But we're very thankful to government for such a facility and the beauty that you will see when you witness so many people getting access for the first time. I think you yourselves, having brought you from Accra, you can see that people are so excited. Nowadays, network connectivity is almost a basic necessity of life, and you can see it, you've heard it. And when we go to places where they've gained access for the first time and we do some commissioning and so on, you see how happy people really are. So we're very thankful for government for expanding our capabilities as an institution.
The beneficiary communities include Edunkwa and Osubon in the Kwewu South and also Oyemsu and Ahantanan in the Kwewu East. Presiding member for Kwewu South, Ampedu Fori, expressed excitement about the project and its anticipated economic benefit.
But we have been pressing for this particular thing over, and we will write, we will say at the assembly, we will discuss, we will try. But today, we are happy you are here, and we know by all means it will materialize. If that is able to become fruitful, I think I will be the best man to be happy at this moment, because they've been rushing me.
According to GIFEC, the program is expected to increase rural connectivity coverage for about 98% of the country.
And that's all for business. My name is Beverly Broom. Up next, the sports.
Let's do sports now. Enjoy news today with PA Muftar Nabila Abdullah. The ambassador for the FIFA World Cup 2022, Samuel Eto'o, has advised Ghana to approach their World Cup group stage game against Uruguay with vengeance in their mind. Ghana lost a crucial quarter-final World Cup game against Uruguay in the 2010 FIFA World Cup, and Eto'o believes revenge is the only way Ghana can succeed in that game. My colleague Michelle Queno has the rest of the story. Now let's hear from former Black Stars midfielder Emmanuel Ajimambedu, who says his decision to join Great Olympics has got nothing to do with a return to the senior national team. About 2 years ago, Ajimambedu announced that he was retiring from the Black Stars, but many claim the decision to join Ghana Premier League side Great Olympics is to earn a spot in the Black Stars squad for the FIFA World Cup. He spoke to my colleague, Fenty Utahiru.
From the national team. For World Cup, no, it's not possible. Yeah. It's not possible. You have 2 months to a tournament. I have been there. I know the stage we are talking about. Yeah. I can never get fit before the World Cup. Okay. It's just a fact.
So you're reeling yourself out?
I'm a footballer. I'm not thinking about that now. I'm thinking how to get my fitness back, how to help Olympic right now. That is my main objective right now, because I just joined the club 2 days ago. Yeah. I'm training with them. My fitness level is not up to the standard I want it. I know myself very well. Yeah. And I don't think even if I'm willing to go to the national team, I'll be ready before the World Cup. But my mind is not there now. My mind is how to help Olympics get the attraction, how to help the guys get the maximum fitness and concentration to start the league. That's the most important thing. But for right now, I'm not thinking about the national team anymore.
But are you retired or not retired?
No, for right now, I'm not thinking about the national team.
That's your sports for now, but we do have more sports stories on myjoyonline.com and also at 2 p.m. when we come your way with Sports Today. Up next is World News.
Good afternoon. It's always a pleasure bringing you Showbiz here on Joy News Today. Now, a lot has happened in the world of entertainment at the weekend, from the premieres of Yvonne Nelson's 50-50 film in Zambia to everything you need to know about the 2022 Ghana Music Awards USA. Here is what you've missed. Now, reggae and Afro dancehall artist Stonebwoy is back to the motherland after months of touring Europe with his single Therapy. Stonebwoy on Hits FM this morning has been recounting his experience.
I like the technical aspect of it. It's not child's play to go on the road with the band, you know. So full band. With full band. So, you know, it sometimes when I just flow, I can't really talk too much about these things. It's really important for us to know that going on the road with a band is the levels to be at as a growing artist. You can't go and be doing the DJ, you know what I mean? Like, it's not really standard. It's not really standard. It's not standard. It's not about Encheba. It's not the highest standard. That don't work. It's openness and a few ones that, cause sometimes you compromise, you do 1, 2, but the levels is to go out there with a full band, and then, but behind the scenes of that takes a lot of investment, a lot of money. So when you see me, particularly running Europe with a band, respect it. There are certain incidences you would have a carpet band, but honestly, all the shows that I've been kicking, everybody comes to their band.
Well, on that note, we end Showbiz here on Joy News Today. There's more Showbiz news in our subsequent bulletins. My name is Becky. Good afternoon to you, Brace.
Good afternoon, Bex. And that's how we wrap up today's bulletin. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. Up next is Marketplace to enjoy the rest of our bulletins. Good afternoon.